6¾ hours later, here's the finished result. Now what I would suggest when you take bread either out of the oven or out of the bread maker, you put it on a wire rack so it'll cool evenly underneath and all over. And now and again just move it in a different position so it cools over. Still quite hot at the moment, so I'm not going to cut it, but I will show you what the texture is like when I do cut it. So you can see it's quite a nice colour, quite a nice size. It's quite light, which is what you're looking for. You don't want it too heavy, and it should, let's see if it does, sound quite hollow. That means it's cooked anyway. So again, if you're doing this by hand and using an oven to bake your bread, always check, first of all, it's got a nice colour, but turn it out onto a surface, tap the bottom. If it sounds hollow, it's ready. If not, pop it back into the oven and give it another blast. I'm going to cut the loaf of bread up, or rather take off a slice to show you the texture inside. I'll need 2 hands to do this because I'm going to use a serrated knife. So let me just pause the video. You can see the texture of the loaf. I don't know if you see the texture, but certainly you can see the inside where all the bubbles are. You can see where it's risen. Nice close texture, both on the crust I've taken off. That tastes absolutely delicious. Again, when you first take it out of the bread maker or out of the oven, nothing wrong with cutting it straight away, spreading some thick butter or other spread in there and eating it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And at least you know with this bread, you know the ingredients that gone into it. It's basically the starter, which for all intents and purposes is flour and water, plus the natural yeasts. You've got the flour, salt, sugar, oil and water, which is bottled spring water. So there are no preservatives, no additives, no colourings, nothing in there. And there's been a few studies with sourdough bread, and it's found it is better for the digestive system than ordinary shop bought bread, because of the additives and the yeast they add is meant to raise the bread quickly. So instead of taking, like this is taking 6¾ hours, it only takes between 2 and 3 hours to actually rise. So again, that could, especially if you're intolerant to certain foods, especially yeasts, this might well be better for you. So again, I don't know if I can get a close-up of the texture there. So look at that, absolutely beautiful. And I wish I had smelly vision because you could actually smell it as well. Beautiful, and especially if it was hot. So that's the sourdough bread. At a later stage I might do one that is made in the oven. So that's it for now. Start baking the sourdough bread. Oh, and in case you're noticing a sort of hole in the bottom, that's due to the inside of the bread maker. It's a little paddle that mixes the dough around, actually causes that hole in the bread. And if you can hear that noise behind me, that is some neighbours setting off some fireworks. As an addendum, I've just wrapped up the loaf of bread, the sourdough loaf of bread. That's in a freezer bag and you can put in the fridge. That'll keep up for up to 7 to 10 days in the fridge, and even after that you won't get any mold growth or anything on there. And this, if you feel it's going a bit stale, you can use it for toast, or I like to use it for fried bread. Now what I've done tonight, just a little bit of information, I've taken off the 2 crusts, because what I'm going to do later on is have a steak sandwich with that, with thick butter. I'm going to put the steak in there. It's going to be a ribeye steak. I'm going to cook it medium rare. I'm going to slice it thinly, and I'm going to put it in the bread. I'm going to follow it by some pancetta bacon, also some large field mushrooms, and copious amounts of garlic, which I've got roasted in the oven at the moment. and it will taste absolutely delicious. So again, you can do that with ordinary bread, but you won't get the flavour that you get with sourdough bread. It's got a certain sort of slight sourness, and it's absolutely gorgeous. At least it's got flavour, not like the shop-bought varieties.